So welcome to the Memory Cafes webinar. My name is Hillary Ritt, and I'm the Workforce and Adult Services Consultant with the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. I'm delighted to be here with you all today, and I will go on and introduce our two presenters. Emily Witthuhn is with the Warren County Public Library. She is the Outreach Services Manager there, and then Jennifer Craig is with the Office of Dementia Services. And so they're going to share with us today about resources that are available to you for those who are experiencing memory issues, those who have dementia or Alzheimer's, and then how you can work to set up a memory cafe in your library. So without further ado, I'm going to put their slides up and let them introduce themselves and share their presentation.
Hello.
And Jennifer, I'll let you take over if you are able. Thank you both so much for being here.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me okay? Use the chat. Okay, there we go. So, hello, my name is Jennifer Craig, and I'm the director of the Office of Dementia Services for the state of Kentucky. I work within the Department for Aging and Independent Living. Many of you may have heard of that as being DAIL. I do want to thank you for being here, trying to spread the word of dementia services across the state. That is something that I have been doing for the past 2 years. 2 years ago, the Office of Dementia Services was formed, and we are slowly but surely getting stronger. So let me see if I can advance my slide. Everybody cross your fingers. So the reason I am passionate about this office and my position, that is why I think everybody should be passionate. And we always talk about our whys. So Staff Sergeant Hurley Cleston Craig, we always called him Clessy. I have a hard time even saying his full name. That was my father-in-law. He came and he lived with us towards the end of his life, and he passed away with vascular dementia. But Clessy was one of the strongest men I have ever met. He was born and raised in Trimble County, Kentucky. He was a Korean War vet, and he was a very well-known tobacco farmer. And he was the strongest man I have ever met. He was the essence of America. He coon hunted. He was just the salt of the earth man. And I grew to love him. So one day I started noticing some stuff, and I said, wait a minute, this isn't right. But I was just the daughter-in-law. My husband's the younger son, and it was, we can't say anything. How do you approach somebody and say, hey, Clessy, something's just not right? I wanted to learn how to shoot a gun, and I said, let me go talk to him. We went in his backyard. He set up some targets, and that's when I knew we couldn't wait any longer. He had forgotten how to load a gun, and he had forgotten gun safety. He was twirling that gun everywhere. I was scared. I got in my car and I said, Darren, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to do something real quick. So we took him to the doctor. The doctor was able to have that conversation with him, found out that he had had a stroke somewhere along the lines. He still doesn't remember when he had the stroke. He says it might have been when he fell out of the tobacco barn. But he said that he had vascular dementia caused by a stroke. Within a year, I saw the strongest man that I have ever met turn into a man who was hiding in the closet, and he couldn't get out. He lost his battle with dementia in about a year and a half. So that is my why. That is why I'm passionate about not only people living with dementia, but also the caregivers. Because from 1 minute to the next, we become his primary caregivers, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what services were out there. So that is my passion. That is my why. So why's Kentucky? What's Kentucky's why? Well, I do want to say that Kentucky is doing something with dementia, and we are one of 30 other states in the nation that has an office devoted to dementia services. So really bringing in everybody, making people collaborate, understanding what people want and what people need. That is what I want to contribute to this state, is just having everybody talk. Not everybody is Clessy. Not everybody wants to live a life like Clessy. Not every caregiver is like me and my husband, but I know that there's people living with dementia. And I also know that there's caregivers out there that are needing help. So getting that open communication, that is Kentucky's why. So Kentucky is going to have 86,000 individuals next year that will be diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Okay. That is just Alzheimer's disease. That is not the many other forms of dementia. It is going to increase 14.7% in 5 years. Another number, and I try not to go statistics, I like storytelling myself, but another statistic that's out there is right now, there are only 39 geriatricians. Okay. That is not enough to meet the growing dementia in Kentucky. There's also 157,000 caregivers. These are unpaid caregivers, by the way. I do want everybody to use the chat feature and just say, follow along with me. Any questions that you have, if anything that I just said in some of those statistics, if that surprised you at all, they did start surprising me. So I do caregiver burden, right? I speak from the caregivers. I'm like the Lorax that speaks for the trees. I'm Jennifer Craig. I speak for the caregivers. But caregiver burden is real, and that is something that cannot be ignored. So I always say that there's at least two people that are affected with dementia. It is the person living with dementia and also those caregivers. And that caregiver, that could be anybody. That can be the daughter that lives closest. That can be the neighbor who is kind of being a watch. That can be anything. And we need to understand that caregiver burden is real. So 22% have identified themselves as being a caregiver and providing regular care or assistance with someone who has a health problem or disease. 19% are caring for their spouse. 35% have been providing care for more than 5 years. 23% are providing 40 hours or more care a week. That is a lot. So what's the Office of Dementia Services approach? I really like to have this holistic approach, really. And then in the middle of that really is the people living with dementia. So like I said, 2 years ago, it was here, create this office. I said, okay, here we go. So I'm looking and I'm needing to hear from everybody in the Commonwealth. What services do you have? What services do we lack? What are our care organizations and what do they look like? Where are the gaps? And most importantly, what is guiding Kentucky to recognize and implement the changes that we need? So that is my approach to the Office of Dementia Services and how we're going to make this happen and help the people living with dementia and their caregivers. So one of the first things that I'd like to tell you about with what the office is doing is it's called the BOLD grant. We were awarded the BOLD grant in September of last year. It is a 5-year CDC grant, and it is building a partnership with the Department for Public Health and the Office of Dementia Services to start talking about risk reductions through the lifespan. So taking care of yourself before it turns into dementia. So a primary diagnosis of the care receiver, this is very interesting. So in COPD, 21% of individuals with dementia have COPD. Are African Americans, 20% are Caucasians. Diabetes, heart disease, stroke, 24% in African Americans, 18% Caucasians. And Alzheimer's disease, dementia, or other cognitive impairments, 18% in African Americans and 28% in Caucasians. So what this is saying, and what the BOLD grant is going to try to do, is to increase the knowledge of these risk factors that lead to dementia, but also teach brain health through that lifespan. So the importance of wearing a helmet while you're riding a bike doesn't just help your brain at that moment. Traumatic brain injuries throughout the life course, that can cause dementia. What you eat in elementary school and what will affect all of you throughout your lifespan, that will cause dementia in the later stages. So the BOLD grant is to kick off that understanding through the public health lens. African Americans are 2 times more likely to have Alzheimer's disease, and Latino Americans are 1.5 times more likely to have Alzheimer's disease. Something that's very interesting, Kentucky has 2 of the top 20 counties in the nation with African Americans preponderance to have dementia. So Franklin County is number 2 in the nation, and Mercer County is number 16. So the office is really trying to target into those communities and African Americans and Latino communities to push this education and the importance of brain health and risk reductions before it gets to dementia. So the Office of Dementia Services was able to expand. So when I started 2 years ago, I've been an office of 1. The BOLD grant has been able to allow me to hire another staff person, and that is the project manager for the BOLD grant. So her name is Brittany Baines. She started in January, and she is already just flying. This is the 1-pager. If you want copies of this, please just let me know. And there's some information in the chat. But one of the first things that the BOLD grant is wanting to do is to build work groups. Okay, it's building this coalition built of individuals in the aging world, individuals in the public health world, community members, healthcare entities, anybody that wants to do anything for dementia. This is really your time to have your voice be heard. So there's a QR code on the screen. If you're interested in being one of the 4 work groups, please just scan that QR code. There's also the information in the chat to do it. The work groups are just starting. So I think in the next 2 months, we will have our first meeting. But there's workforce development, there's research and evaluation data, public policy, and community education and engagement. Those are the 4 work groups. So the first 2 years is building the work groups. The last 3 years is implementing projects and programs that the work groups have decided that they should do. So it's going to be super exciting. And if you're interested, jump in at the ground level. And if you'd like any more information, please do not hesitate to send me an email. The BOLD grant is also allowing us to, for the first time ever in the state of Kentucky, perform a dementia needs assessment and create a state plan. We had a dementia state plan in 2017. That was before the Office of Dementia Services was formed, and it looked good for 2017, but a lot of things have changed in that time. Dementia awareness, treatments, transportation, lots of things have changed. So we are revamping a dementia state plan that will be out in 2024. But before we do that, we have to do the dementia needs assessment. Again, QR codes. We are conducting that needs assessment right now. And this is your chance to share what aging looks like in the state, but also what services you have used, what services do you need for individuals with dementia, or if you're a caregiver going forward. The state plan will be based on this needs assessment. So if we can get more people to take this and tell us your thoughts, tell us your opinions, tell us your needs, then it's going to be a very rich state plan. And again, this is the first time that the state has had a dementia needs assessment, which is super cool. The other fun thing, this is my baby project. And other states have got these. Wisconsin has been my golden ticket. That's who I've taken this project from. But they're called dementia care specialists. Right now, there are 3 regions in the state, and I have a map here in a minute, that have a dementia care specialist located within their their area development district. Some people call it the Area Agency on Aging and Independent Living. It is Buffalo Trace, Bluegrass, and Pennyroyal. So anybody in those counties can call their local ad and say, I need to talk to a dementia care specialist. And that dementia care specialist is specially trained to help individuals living with dementia, to help those caregivers, and to find those dementia-specific services in their region. It is a dream of mine that we will have this statewide. If we can get funding for it, that is one of my top goals. But right now, we are using these 3 ads and an ACL grant. So the services that the person gives to the person living with dementia and their caregiver, they're going to be provided an assessment. They're also going to get case management through that dementia care specialist. They're going to have information and referrals. So that is pretty much a specialist on speed dial for you. If you have a question, this person should have the answer, or they'll be able to give you those referrals. Through this program, there's also respite funds for caregivers. So they're allotted a specific amount to decrease that caregiver burden, to let that caregiver go to work, to let that caregiver go to church, to let that caregiver just have a break and to get out of the home. Respite can be used through adult day agencies, senior centers, or through private pay. There's also going to be education and training. So the education and training, this is where it's really cool that we're connecting with the memory cafes, but we are trying to build this ability and this accessibility to education, dementia education, and dementia trainings across the Commonwealth. So memory cafes is just one of the ways that they can get this information. But there's a program called Dealing with Dementia. It's a caregiver workshop that the dementia care specialists are certified in giving, and that will be done in each county in the region. There's also some funds to provide assistive technology. So this is those, I call them the cool fun things. And a lot of the times caregivers can't really afford to buy these cool fun things. But this is like the electronic cats and dogs, weighted blankets, door alarms, monitors, just about anything to keep the person living with dementia as active and engaged as possible. There's dementia games, board games that have been proven to keep their cognitive ability a little bit more. So the services in the community, the dementia care specialists are going to help build that community support. So through support groups, through memory cafes, whatever works best in those counties, okay? The things that work good in Louisville may not work good in Trimble County. The things that work good in Lexington might not work good in Eastern Kentucky. So this is giving them the ability to listen to the communities and say, okay, this is what we need. This is how we can do it. So it is a person specific for that. They're also going to be providing education and training. So that is spreading that dementia awareness, dementia knowledge throughout the regions. And they're building those collaborations and partnerships with all of their regional partners, but trying to make the person living with dementia and their caregivers a little bit more well-rounded and having those resources available. Right now, it is Pennyroyal, Buffalo Trace, and Bluegrass. The counties are listed. If you are working in any of those counties and you would like more information on the dementia care specialist, please reach out and let me know. We can definitely connect you with that person. But again, I would love to see this in all of the 15 ag districts. So the Office of Dementia Services also does dementia training. We have dementia webinars. I have an Oculus machine that I can come to you and provide a virtual dementia experience. It's a 4-hour walk through an individual living with dementia. It's emotional. That's the best word I can use for it. We also provide caregiver training. I do curriculum reviews to the personal service agencies and home health agencies to ensure that they meet the training requirements. And then we also have a training resource list of dementia trainings that are available, some for free, some for charge. We're also building this dementia workforce and building those collaborations and partnerships. That's what I said. I can't do this alone. And these are just some of the partnerships that I have found in the 2 years of working together. Norton's Neuroscience, they are amazing. The CDC's, the grant, Dementia Friendly, Lexington, Public Health, University of Louisville, Traeger, and Sanders Brown. I will be known as the person that finally got those two entities to talk. That was during one of my webinars. We were talking and they didn't know each other. They were doing the same thing. And we left that meeting and I said, okay, wait a minute. We need to have these two powerhouses talk. And now they're actually working together. So UK Sanders Brown Center on Aging and U of L Traeger Institute. My motto is we will find a way or we'll make one. Dementia is not going anywhere. Caregivers aren't going anywhere. We can't just do anything. So we've got to find a way. So my last slide is definitely, we want to hear from you. QR codes, take a picture. One of the QR codes is that share your experience and tell us what your community needs. I'd love to hear from you. I need to hear from you. I want to hear your voice. I don't want to be the only person making decisions. So this is your time to shine. Share this survey, share this QR code with everybody because I want to hear everybody's voice. The other QR code is for the Kentucky BODE Coalition. That is the thing that's up and going. You can get it at the ground level, and this is really making that difference. The first 2 years, we're building the work groups and identifying what programs we want to create. The last 3 years, it really is, here's some additional funding, go off and do the things that you said you were going to do. My name is Jennifer Craig. My contact information is right there on the board, and Hillary has put it in the chat. And if you have any questions, I think we might be doing it at the end. But if you put them in the chat, I'll go ahead and answer them as well.
I'll let Emily pick up now.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Witthuhn, and I'm the Community Outreach Manager at Warren County Public Library. I launched our Memory Cafe program in September, so I'm just going to jump right in. So this is something that I'm passionate about, both personally and professionally. Both of my parents have memory loss. My dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, early onset, a couple years ago, and my mom has mild cognitive impairment from a stroke. So last summer, 2023, when I went to ALA and came across a speaker series on dementia services in the library, I was all in. I had never heard about Memory Cafe before, but I have been really excited about it since then. So just basically, I'm going to try to go through this briefly so we'll have some time for questions. Feel free to put things in the chat. I may be able to answer those as we go. So what is a memory cafe? It's a socializing opportunity for individuals living with memory loss or other kinds of neurodegenerative conditions, so any kind of dementia or Alzheimer's, also things like Parkinson's, as well as care partners and friends. It's not a support group, and it's not a clinical program. So Memory Cafe is something that can be run by non-specialists, which makes it really applicable in a library setting. And then over here, we've got the whys. So memory cafes combat fear, stigma, and social isolation that comes from dementia. Many of you know, I have seen some things in the chat so far that some of you have caregiving experience as well. It is a really isolating experience when you start to lose just the capacity that you've always had. Life is different for you. It might become kind of confusing. People in public may not know how to relate to you anymore. And so Memory Cafe is a great way to just get people back out there into the world, into the community, draw some attention, and just create like a fun environment for folks to hang out. This Memory Cafe can also support individuals with a wide range of different needs and capacities. I think that especially in library world, something that's really great about Memory Cafe is it provides adult programming. It feels like it's geared towards adults, but it's designed for folks that may have a variety of different capacity levels. So while our library already has a lot of adult programming, speakers and book clubs and workshops and classes and things like that, those may be a little bit too, complicated or too long or too whatever for our community members who are experiencing dementia or cognitive impairment to really, hang with, to be able to appreciate fully. So Memory Cafe, provides dignity by giving adult programming that you can fully appreciate and experience and participate in, regardless of your capacity level. It also provides respite with for caregivers. This respite with is language that we see in a lot of guides for creating a memory cafe. And the idea is that a care partner and a person experiencing dementia can come together and just have fun with each other in a low pressure environment without really needing to separate and have, something separate for caregivers and for people experiencing dementia. This is something they can just do together. The purpose of a memory cafe is to share and experience and connect and really just enjoy these activities and programming opportunities. And it also promotes awareness and builds community partnerships. So once you start doing something like this in your library, you will get questions. Maybe it's your local news reporters or caregiving agencies in town, or your medical center or whatever that is. People are going to see this and be like, hey, how can I be a part of it? And for a librarian, that is a great way to continue to build deeper and more beneficial community partnerships as well. This was Memory Cafe as a model, was started in the Netherlands in the 90s. And the cafe element of the name, I think, is so important. It helps clarify that the atmosphere and purpose is designed to just be social and casual and fun. I love this quote over here from the Memory Cafe Percolator, which is a guide for creating a memory cafe, kind of a best practices list that was created in 2014. It says, medical and social service providers offer critical assistance with health and resource needs, but they can't restore access to the simple joy of visiting the neighborhood cafe. And that is really the ethos that started all of this, is creating an opportunity for individuals who have lost certain capacities that they may have had when they were younger, restoring access to these simple joys, visiting a neighborhood cafe, going to a coffee shop or a restaurant with your friends, just catching up, having kind of a chill, social, connected experience with each other. And here are some key components. If you are a programmer at a library already, you know what these components are. And so this is kind of the ethos that we see across the board with library programming, and it's true for Memory Cafe as well. You want to start with engaging programming. So we want to provide programs that are encouraging exploration. They're engaging a variety of senses. So maybe you're listening to something and you're writing or drawing something. Maybe you're speaking and sharing and telling your own story. Maybe there's singing or music. Maybe there's something to taste or smell. And we want to incorporate laughter. So just keep things goofy, keep things light. Next, we have inclusion. We want to make sure we're accounting for physical accessibility in these programs. Folks that are experiencing dementia, most of them are seniors, and they may be experiencing other accessibility issues as well. So just make sure it's wheelchair accessible. Make sure people can find their way through the space easily, that there's a bathroom close by. And in terms of inclusion, like I said before, we want to make sure that there are options for a variety of different ability levels. So if you have like an art project or something that you're going to be doing, we want to make sure you have some options kind of in your back pocket or there in the room in case, whoever comes in can feel included and participate fully in whatever you guys are doing. And that brings us to the next one, which is full participation. I get questions a lot about whether someone can come and visit Memory Cafe and see what it's all about. And I always tell people that everyone is welcome. Anybody is welcome to come to Memory Cafe. We just ask that you come as a participant, not as an observer. The more people that we have in the room hanging out together, the better. And so if we have, a person from somebody from a care agency in town, or maybe a reporter, or somebody who's just like looking to see what this program is like and they're interested in potentially joining, they're welcome to come and hang out as long as they participate in all the activities too. And finally, I feel like this is a very high priority for my memory cafes. We always try to have refreshments. This is a great way to kind of break the ice and make people feel comfortable. And so have some kind of snack and some kind of drink. In my case, at our library system, this is something that we have sponsored by a local caregiving agency that supports us each month. They bring some kind of themed snack or drink, and usually we try to offer something, a little something sweet, a little something that's maybe like a veggie or a protein, in case folks are trying to pay attention to certain dietary restrictions. All right, and this brings us to information about our Memory Cafe here at Warren County Public Library. Like I said, we started this in September. We have monthly daytime meetings. and I'll talk about this a little bit later in this presentation as well, but you will have to determine when you want this to happen. I recommend consistency. So pick a day or a time of the month or week, however frequently you're going to be doing it, and make sure that it happens the same time every time, because we are talking about folks who struggle with their memory. So the more consistency that we can create, the easier that is on folks who maybe bring themselves. Maybe they are still fairly independent and they're driving and they want to come to this, or maybe, you know, there's someone who's being brought by a care partner. But I would say for our side of things, a daytime meeting made the most sense, because several of kind of our initial participants expressed that, you know, things are harder for them to do in the evening as they start feeling more tired and fatigued and a little bit more out of it as the sun goes down. So we do ours at 11 a.m., which is the perfect time to have some kind of morning snacks and maybe some coffee or hot cocoa. And we do that every month on the first Tuesday. We offer a variety of programming, so anything from puzzles and art, poetry. We're going to have music coming up soon. In September, it was our first one. We did puzzles and conversation. That's what we called it. And so we just had games on the tables, and the puzzles, I will say, have been a huge hit. We try to have them at every single memory cafe, because regardless of what is going on, somebody wants to work on a puzzle. In October, we did more of a craft opportunity. We created orange slice garlands, so kind of dried orange slices and sprigs of pine and rosemary, and we did kind of a fall themed craft that people could take home. November, we were sponsored by our local Aetna representative, and she paid for an ice cream truck to come to the library and park out front, and covered all the Memory Cafe participants ice cream, which was great. People had a lot of fun with that. In December, we did no-sew pillows. So that was another one that was kind of craft oriented, but it didn't require, you know, a sewing machine or anything sharp. It was just kind of tying, using fleece, tying your blanket or pillow together and then stuffing it. People had a lot of fun with that. Both of my parents are regular Memory Cafe attendants, and after our December one with the pillows, my dad came up to me and he was like, "So are we ever going to learn anything?" So after that, we started bringing in a little bit more educational programming as well. So in January, one of our youth services programmers was our special guest and did a travel themed session. And so as people came into the room, they saw that all these different stations were set up around the area, themed around different countries and cultures, and each one had something interactive, kind of like a poster with information about the country, and then a food to taste from that country, or a game to try out that's a traditional game in that culture, or something musical to listen to. And so that one was just really different and interactive, and people are still talking about it. In February, we had a local author come and do a poetry workshop with us, and that was probably our most well attended so far. By the end of it, I mean, everyone left that one with their own poem that they had written. So that was also super interactive. We hope to repeat that one because folks seem to have had so much fun with it. We have quite a few community partners right now. There is a local memory and movement center called Pieces of Hope. And so their founder, Jill, has been a good friend of mine since we started this endeavor. She comes to each one and advertises and helps with programming. We've got 2 caregiving agencies in Bowling Green, where our library is located, that provide support, helping with programming, and then bringing refreshments each time. And then we've also have special guests coming from Aetna, as well as our local medical center, to help with programming as well. So that has been a huge help in kind of getting this going. And here's a few things that we have coming up. We've got a local singer-songwriter coming this month. He'll be here next week, and we'll create kind of a coffee shop vibe. Then we've got a specialist from our local medical center coming to talk about stroke education and brain health. That one will be really educational, just talking to folks about their diet and activity and different kinds of things that they can do to help reduce their risk of stroke. And then for folks who have experienced a stroke, think about, moving forward, how to build, regain some of their neuroplasticity and just create a healthy life for themselves. Then in May, I'm really excited about this. We've got a multi-part Spring Proactive Aging series. And so we'll have a dementia doula and a community expert from the Alzheimer's Association coming to just talk about aging and what we need to know about dementia and, navigating the world once you're experiencing those things. So this is kind of a lot of information. The reason I'm sharing this is just hopefully to spark a little bit of inspiration for you guys. Honestly, the sky is the limit with Memory Cafe. Anything that you can think of as a fun library programming idea, it is something that you can tailor to work in a Memory Cafe context as well. So whether you are used to doing adult programming or child and family programming or whatever that is, there are so many tools that you are already using in the library that are perfect for a Memory Cafe concept. So it's really not as hard to start as it might seem. I was kind of intimidated by it at first, but the programming itself has been pretty chill. So what do we have next? Like I said, there's a lot of different options here. Here are a few things that I would like to add over time based on other folks that I've learned about that are doing their own memory cafes. I would love to bring animals. So one thing I'm looking into is trying to find a person with a local therapy dog that does, library or school or senior living home visits to come and just meet all of our Memory Cafe participants. I think that would be amazing. I also want to do more educational programs, whether that is memory related or just education in general. So maybe some more travel theme, having folks come in and just tell about cool experiences that might spark folks' interest. I also want to incorporate some movement, a little bit more intentionality about being outdoors, moving our bodies, maybe something that's dance or kind of game and recreation related. So I'm talking to my community partner that's a movement coach about that, maybe doing some like lawn games, but the things that we can do indoors. I'm also interested in seeing how to incorporate VR. Jennifer mentioned Wisconsin earlier. Wisconsin also has a really expansive and kind of well planned out Memory Cafe program as well through different libraries and other community organizations. And when I heard a seminar about Memory Cafe from a Wisconsin librarian, one thing that she mentioned was VR and the idea that you could do, you can provide travel experience and educational opportunities if you have an Oculus or other VR device. So I kind of want to look into what that might look like and do it in a way that's not too disorienting, but would be, kind of exciting and a unique experience. I would also like to get to a point where we can maybe do a show and tell kind of opportunity. If we have enough consistency in who comes each month, I think it'd be great to ask people to bring some kind of memento or photo from their life, something that they really cherish and remember well, and give them the opportunity to share, that storytelling, that experience with other people. I think that'd be a way for us to just get to know each other, but also help, enrich like the lives of each other by sharing those stories. Next here, I've got growth goals. My first growth goal really is just to increase participation in Memory Cafe more broadly. So right now we hover around 10 to 14 people, which has been great. And that includes care partners, community partners and supporters, and folks experiencing dementia themselves. And so I'd like to just grow that number, get the word out, because I know in our community, there are a lot more people out there experiencing this, but it can be hard to find those resources. So my first growth goal really is just getting the word out more and recruiting. I would also like to find a way to envision Memory Cafe as an outreach program. I mean, one of the issues with doing it in the library is some people can't get out. If they are living in a long-term memory care center, I'm really interested in what it might take to kind of take this program out of the library and into those living communities as well. So that's something I hope to kind of explore as we get farther in 2024 and the next year as well. I'd also like to equip new library programmers to help kind of take on this program, share this with me, like invite them into that programming and kind of leadership space. And so we've got a great team of amazing youth and family programmers, as well as librarians who are really experienced in adult programming here too. So I think something I'm kind of visioning for the future is thinking about who is that next person to kind of help take some of this on, taking it over from me or doing it with me. And then ultimately, I would love for our program here at the library to become something that is recommended by care providers in the community. So if somebody, talks to our local Alzheimer's Association representatives, or if they get their diagnosis from a neurologist or a neuropsychologist, ultimately, I would love it if this program is something that is known enough in our community that it becomes something that's recommended by specialists. All right, and so that is a lot of context. Here we are getting to what you need to start your own memory cafe. On our first slide here, we've got, you will need partners, 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 partners. I cannot stress this enough. It's just so important to have people helping you in this work. And if you are a library programmer, you know this already. The budget is always tight for it. Library programmers are always so busy. And so you are going to set yourself up for success if you start the process by thinking about who in your community is interested in this kind of work and may or may not already be doing it. And that brings us to these considerations. Number one, is this a need in your community? Is anyone else already doing it? So do you know of senior programming that already exists? Is there already memory or dementia programming happening? Is that something you can partner with to improve what's already going on? Is there a gap there? Is this something that you think your library should step into? Number two, are there programmers in your library that would like to take this on? Think through, as you're planning this, who would be well equipped to start a program like this. Someone who has familiarity in working with seniors, someone who is going to have really bring like the respect and the dignity, but also the fun and the comfortability to work with folks who are experiencing dementia. Number three, what's your space like? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Is it accessible? Can people get there? Is there a handicap accessible restroom? Folks gonna have to go up any stairs to get there? Is it easy to find and remember how to get there? Is there parking? Things like that. And number four, what time should you set it for? Can you make it consistent? There is a little bit of a tension, I think I have found, between the time of day that's best for folks who are experiencing dementia and the time of day that's best for care partners. Because as you guys know, many caregivers do work during the day, and so they're looking for things to do in the evening, while many folks who are experiencing dementia may have that sundowners effect where they're going to be more present and energetic and ready during the day. So really my advice here is just talk to your community, get feedback from people that you think may attend, and then try to set your time there. You always pivot if you need to. Number five, who is your audience and how will you recruit? This goes back to our community partner conversation. Think about who's going to come and how you're going to get the word out. It can be challenging to advertise to a demographic that has these particular capacity limitations. So think about who is already getting the word out about other things, other senior services, and see if you can share your flyers, your information, your registration pages with those folks to put it in a newsletter or post it in a senior center on a community board, something like that. And then finally, do you have the budget and the bandwidth? There are definitely ways that you can reduce that budget using materials that you already have in-house, getting sponsors to provide the things that you don't have access to, and thinking about programming that doesn't require a lot of new purchases. All of that is going to make it a lot more feasible to do in your own library. Give this time to grow. It's going to take a while to recruit and to get people coming back. One of the, unique, I think, issues about Memory Cafe in particular, sometimes somebody who's been coming for a while just won't show up 1 month, and I'll see them later and I'll say, oh, we missed you. Are you doing okay? And they're like, oh my goodness, I forgot. And so that is, give people frequent reminders and just have some patience and a sense of humor as you grow your program. So these are a couple of resources that have been super, super, super helpful for me in developing Memory Cafe. The first one that I started with was the second one on the list, actually, the Massachusetts Memory Cafe Toolkit. It really walks you through just the reason for having a Memory Cafe, the history about it, and some best practices. The Memory Cafe Percolator is a sort of shorter version of that. And also just really helpful. It's like a 1-pager, and you can just look through kind of how other people have done it, some pitfalls to avoid, some things to look for, and some ideas about how to design your programming and who to partner with. The Memory Cafe directory is just a list of where memory cafes exist around the world. You can, it's great to be able to see if there's any near you already. I feel like if you are a library programmer, you would know if there was one in your town, just because you tend to hear about other things that are going on. But when in doubt, check the Memory Cafe directory. And then also, like I mentioned, Wisconsin has some really amazing examples of memory cafes, and so they have created this best practice guide as well. They're all fairly similar but super useful, and kind of easy to get through. They're not particularly dense documents. So if you were considering it, I would definitely recommend checking out those documents first. That is the end of my slides. I would love to take some time and just answer questions that you might have for me, and open it up for Jennifer to answer some questions as well.
Thank you, Emily. I also want to thank folks who have shared their stories in the chat. I know that that had to be hard in some respects to share that. So thank you for sharing those. Thank you so much for folks for you being here. And yes, as Alicia said, chat those questions in. To either Emily or Jennifer. I have a question, actually, Emily. Did you mention a dementia doula?
Yes.
What is that?
So y'all may have heard of a doula in the context of childbirth, and essentially that's someone who accompanies you on the journey, really just works with you closely and helps prepare you for this, changing life stage that you're in. And so a dementia doula is a very, very similar concept. It's someone who is very experienced in end-of-life care, and prior to that, kind of the experiences that you're going to have as a person with dementia, navigating the life just like differently than you did before. And so it's someone that can kind of speak into that and give advice and help kind of guide you through that experience. So I don't know this presenter myself. I haven't heard her speak, but we are really excited to kind of bring her in. One thing she's going to be talking about is just dementia in general, statistics and health information about dementia. And then her second presentation is called Aging, Angst, and Alleluias. And so I think that is going to be just about kind of the hard and beautiful and sometimes funny elements of life as a person experiencing memory loss.
Thank you. And then Emily, I don't know if you've seen, Carol has asked a question, what your average attendance has been at your events?
Yes. Okay. I just opened the chat so I can see those now. Thanks, Carol. So far, we kind of hover around 10 to 15 people. Initially, it was very small, and I'll be honest, it was basically just my family members coming. And since then, we have grown. Last time, I think we had 14, and that was a pretty well attended one. We have folks with dementia that come. We have care partners. We have community sponsors. We also have had folks who provide services for adults with intellectual disabilities bring their clients and start attending these as well, which has been a great, collaboration.
Tricia, I don't know if I'm going to see if Jennifer maybe can answer that, or Emily. Thank you for asking. So electronics and things to help persons be engaged.
Yes. So I wasn't planning for that. There's actually a website, and if you email me, I will send you that website. It's all Alzheimer's products, and there's really cool remote controls, phones that have people's pictures on them instead of all the numbers, the cats and the dogs and the weighted blankets. It has the radios, so it would be easy for them to hit the radio station that they want to hit or play the song that they want to play and not have to, open up Spotify, do this, because, technology has become our friend. So just email me and I will send you that.
Thank you. We're getting, I don't know if you are seeing the chats. We had another question. Ashley's asking about your role at the library.
Yes, thanks for that question, Ashley. I am the community outreach manager, and so I do a little bit of adult programming, a little bit of youth and family programming, and a lot of other things in the middle that kind of fall in between. And so this certainly has an outreach component, but I think for me, the reason I took on this program is just because my own personal experiences with family members with dementia. Brian, I just saw your chat about starting a memory cafe in Oldham County. I would love to talk about that. So if you ever want to, just reach out, send me an email, or call our library so we can chat about memory cafe. I'd love to see another one.
So Brian, I'm going to piggyback on her. I live in Shelby County. I grew up in Trimble County and Oldham County. Let me know when your memory cafe is. I would love to drive down the road and join you, and then offer any type of assistance that I can. I love this concept, and Emily, I'm going to reach out to you too, because I have wills.
That's great.
Any other questions, folks? This has been, I just appreciate both of these presenters. Thank you, Emily and Jennifer, both for sharing the information, but also sharing your stories and making this a webinar where people felt like they could share. I'm going to stop sharing your slides and actually put up our special Institute for Museum and Library Services slide. We are funded in part by the Institute for Museum and Library Services, and want to thank them for their sponsorship of this webinar. Also want to let you all know that this webinar has been recorded and it will be available at a later time for you all to view. The slides will be available, and I will let you know too, we would like your feedback on this webinar. So I'm going to drop a survey in the chat to get your all's feedback. But so very appreciative of our presenters again, and for you all for joining today. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and if you would like me to get you connected with any of the people with either Jennifer or Emily, or if I can facilitate connections between those who attended today, I'll be glad to do what I can. So thank you all again, and just hope you have a great day, and thank you for the work you're doing and for being here today.